G'day, it's Rob here again. Well, today we're going to look at some lathe tooling. I've got a number of lathes. I had quite a few over the years. And this is the one I've kept right through. It's my 10-inch swing Chinese lathe. And it's a good old machine. I've had it for over 20 years. Bought it new. And it takes 12mm tooling. Well, it can also take 10 or it can take 8. But basically, it'll take up to including 12mm, and I mean, the larger the tooling, the more loads you can put on the actual tool bit itself. But of course, if the tooling's too big, it won't come down to the centre line of the lathe. So you have to make sure that whatever tooling you use doesn't come up any higher than the centre line, and you're good to go. So in this case, Banggood has sent me some 12mm tooling. Now, I've got a lot of 12mm tooling already, but this is a starter set, basically. It's a good little set. And it's only 4-piece, but it's enough to get you going. It's not overly expensive at all, and it basically includes your normal external cutters like this, tooling, and you get a boring bar, a handy sized boring bar. And so you can do internal as well. And yeah, I was quite impressed with what you got for the money. So we'll have a look at it, see if it's any good. Well, we've seen the spring grabs, and here's the box. And it's what you would expect. Box of inserts and 3 external and 1 internal cutter. Now these are Matchy Fit brand, and I've used those in the past, and the quality's been really good for the money. I mean, you know, you're not spending a lot of money at all, really, compared to the top line brands, which are much more expensive. So let's have a closer look at these and see how they compare. You get a box of 10 DCMT carbide inserts, and a sort of a no-name brand, generic looking set. They're not expensive normally. I've used this style and this sort of look of insert for forever, and they work quite okay for home use. They're perfectly okay. Quite durable. In fact, the durability of all the inserts over the years that I've used, I think, is slightly improved, and they'll handle interrupted cuts better than some of the really early ones that I used. They were, you know, quite fragile, but I've never had any problems with these budget ones. They've been quite good, and for home use, perfectly adequate. Alright, so they will match this, and 55-degree chip angle isn't a bad angle. It's good for profiling. You can get into tight angles with them. You know, you can use this type of insert to machine, say, little V-belt pulleys for model engines that something like a TCMT would struggle with, you know, because it's got a broader chip angle. So yeah, for general purpose use, quite good. Okay, now each external tool comes in a plastic sleeve. You get a little wrench for the screw head, that's also included, and the tooling itself is what you'd expect. It looks pretty damn good. It certainly looks as good as any other tooling I've got. Quite nicely made. That one, of course, is a left-hand one, and that's one that you would use probably the most of the three that you've got. Okay, we'll look at the rest. The next one is the center tool, which of course you can use to come in on left or right angles as well. So that's a handy one to have for sure. And the other one is right hand, so you use that one to machine towards the tail stop. So this one machine towards the head stop, the chuck. This one machine in either direction. This one machine towards the tail stop in general use. And you get a whole bunch of wrenches. I mean, they always give you a wrench with every one of these because they're packed as a individual item, so that's a handy thing. You're never going to run out of wrenches. And last but not least is the mighty boring bar, and you've got to have one of these to tell you, otherwise how are you going to machine holes in things? It's a good one too. It's a perfect size. If I was going to buy just one boring bar, this would be exactly it. It's a very, very good selection. Where people go off the rails all the time, they set up their lathe tooling and they buy this humongous boring bar, which is way too big for most things you're going to be doing. The average home handyman is going to be using a boring bar on jobs that are about that size, half an inch. And, you know, the thing about boring bars is a small boring bar can do a big job, big hole, but a big boring bar can't do a small job because it won't go in the hole. So remember that, and don't be afraid to buy smaller size tooling because it can quite often do things the big stuff can't do, provided of course you're, you know, willing to have a smaller depth of cut. But yeah, I like this a lot. I think this is a great selection. So how does this boring bar compare to what I'm using regularly? Well, this is a 10 mil and this is a 3.5 mil. You can see there's a huge difference in size. 10's a good size. The one we're looking at is a 12 and it's not too bad. It's a bit bigger, but it's not enormously bigger, so it's still a practical size to have. And if you want to go smaller, well, you can go 10, or you can go 8, or you can go down to these micro boring bars. The choice is yours, but as an all-rounder boring bar, that's not a bad size. The other good thing about this set of tooling is that they all use the same insert. A good thing, because you know, the longer you do metalwork, the more tooling you accumulate, and you finish up with all these different inserts in the drawer. It becomes a nightmare. So if you can restrict it to just a couple of insert type sizes and shapes, you'd be a lot better off, and you know, you're less likely to run out of inserts at the critical time because you'll be stocked up on the ones that you use pretty much the most. Looking close up, you can see that the machining is first class on these two examples. I'll fit an insert into each of them and it should be a nice snug fit. Perfecto. How good is that, eh? Yeah, no complaints with that whatsoever. Really good. So there you go, they all fit beautifully and there's no complaints whatsoever. And you've still got 6 inserts left. Okay, let's try these inserts out. A bit of mild steel. Spin it at 450, medium feed. See how it goes. pretty nice. Yeah. Beautiful finish. Look at that. Magnificent. So yeah, that looks pretty good. Once again, the finish will be determined by the type of metal that you're machining. Some metal machines beautifully like this. Other metal, like say water pipe, is absolutely terrible. You'll get an absolutely horrible finish regardless of what you use on that. But yeah, can't complain about that. So what do I think of it? I think for anybody that's starting out and they've got a lathe that can take 12mm tooling, this is about as good a buy as you're going to get. It'll do most things. And the only additional thing I can think of that you would need to buy as far as cutting tools is concerned is a parting off blade. Apart from that, this would do most of the functions that you'll be carrying out. Okay, well, that's it from me. There's a link to this in the video description. If you want one, go and have a look, see what the price is in your neck of the woods. And there's also a discount code there that Banggood have kindly sent me, and you can get a few more bucks off. Alright, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it works for you, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.